My name is Christopher Vagalia. I run a company called Agri-Tech Organics PNG Limited. The company was created in 2018 to address very specific needs within the agriculture space. But as you will soon find out throughout the course of my presentation, you will realize that we've actually diversified in a lot of the offerings that we offer now within the company. So my presentation will be very brief. I'll try not to exceed the 10-minute mark, but no promises there. And I apologize if I go off script once in a while. My presentation will be very brief. I'll begin with a very basic introduction. I'll talk about some of the things that we value, some of our priorities as a company, as individuals. I say that because a lot of the things that we do are driven from our own experiences and some of the challenges that we faced throughout the lifespan of our company to date. I'll talk about some of our priorities, how we're progressing as a nation. I'm sure that'll be very interesting. I know a lot of us have a lot to say about how we're progressing as a nation, and we all have our own ideas as to where we need to be, how we're going to get there. But hopefully, towards the end of my presentation, you'll understand why I've come to that place and how you and your individual roles and the responsibilities can also contribute to the development of this nation. And finally, how do we fix the problems that we have? Okay? So let's go. That's a pretty lengthy introduction. I'll let you read that. Agri-Tech stands as a trailblazer force in Papua New Guinea within agriculture space, harnessing the power of technology. That's all I'm going to read. You're going to get the slides later. But fundamentally, what we do is we develop solutions, right? We do not dwell on problems. Our focus is mainly on the solutions. And you'll soon come to see that throughout the course of my presentation. A lot of the solutions that we've developed are solutions that were developed because of our own challenges as a company moving forward within the ICT space itself. So you'll find that what we've built is a reflection of our journey. So what I'm showing you today is, in effect, the journey of my company, Agri-Tech Organics PNG Limited. Agri-Tech recognizes that embracing cutting-edge technology, including e-commerce platforms, cloud solutions, artificial intelligence, and crowdfunding mechanisms, is not just about staying ahead in a competitive market. That's one thing we need to understand, and I think a lot of us that are operating within the space, especially in Papua New Guinea, we're not affected by this because the market is very small. But if you venture out of Papua New Guinea, it's a cutthroat industry. Only the best survive. So you really need to be prepared. You need to understand the climate and the environment in which you operate in. It's about bridging gaps, fostering inclusivity, and enabling economic participation. Now, we'd like to believe that we embrace some of these goals, the SDG goals, but three main particular goals come to mind when you're talking about a company like Agri-Tech Organics. And these include, firstly, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. I believe as a software development company, infrastructure is very important, right? If you have a software that you want to roll out to the wider community, what do you need? Someone. What do you need? You need a platform first and foremost, right? Right? You need a means to get that platform out to the wider community. You need to be able to provide software, right? You need to be able to monetize that platform in order for you to be sustainable. Does that sound familiar to many of you? I think we've all come across some of these challenges, but we prioritize that as part of our business model. Secondly, partnerships. Partnerships are very important. We started off as primarily an agricultural-based e-commerce platform. When we went into the space earlier on, we were quite naive. We thought the ecosystem was already there. And we woke up to a rude awakening. There was literally nothing there. There was no supply chain. There was no market forces at play. So we had to take a step back and work on developing some of the infrastructure and some of the partnerships. And a recent one that I can make mention of is our work that we did with the National Trade Office just recently. We developed the National Trade Portal of Papua New Guinea, which is the equivalent of POM trade, Austrade, my apologies, in Australia. What that does is essentially bring in investors into the country on a centralized hub and allows them to understand what they need to do in order to participate in our economy and vice versa. So that was part of our drive to bring in the partnerships. Part of the work that we did there was also connect to trade facilitation agencies like Customs, NACIA, National Fisheries. So they are all featuring on that platform as well. And that part of our business focuses primarily on building those partnerships. Finally, sustainability. In order for you to survive, especially in a climate like Papua New Guinea, you need to be sustainable. It's easy enough to say, oh, I can build a platform. But what if you do not have the connectivity to bring the platform out? What about your client base? What about the logistical support you need to bring the product to market, right? These are some of the things that, as entrepreneurs, we need to be focusing on. We need to be building systems that can accommodate for a lot of these challenges that we face. How are we looking as a nation? Inflation is probably at its highest in its history, right? It's all there. The writing is on the wall. And I'm not going to dwell on this. Why? Because we're here to talk about solutions. We're not here to talk about problems, right? So I'll let you read that in your own time. What do we need to do? I've just put up some points there. First and foremost, we need to improve our digital infrastructure. We had a lot of presentations this earlier part of the day with regard to telecommunications, right? And some other developments within the ICT space that allow for digital transformation to happen. That is very important. And as I said, that was our first priority, building the infrastructure. Secondly, we need to boost financial technology in the form of fintechs, digital payment systems. We need to be able to monetize the assets that we create. For example, our farmers in rural areas. Interesting story. When I first came into this place, there were no payment gateways. Kina Bank and BSP were not in a place where they could provide those technologies. So what did I do? Does anyone know? I started using cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, in order to trade. So we actually built an e-commerce platform that allowed our farmers to receive payment for goods and services using Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a legitimate technology. And just to add to my point, this is a Bitcoin card. It's a Visa card tied to my Bitcoin account. I've used this card to purchase things in the shop, do my shopping, and pay for fuel. So in case you think that Bitcoin is a scam, it is a real technology. It's an emerging technology, like artificial and the like. Yeah? So that's how we started. The reason why we started, because a lot of our farmers didn't meet the minimum requirement to open a bank account. They didn't have an ID. Whereas with technologies like Bitcoin, you could open up a bank account. Secondly, enhancing the supply chain management. This is also very important. You cannot have a flourishing ecosystem without the logistical end that supports the supply chain. Part of what we do as well is also promoting online education. And later on, you'll see the ecosystem that we've built. So I won't dwell too much on that. And of course, finally, the implementing smart energy solutions, which is also very important, especially in an economy like Papua New Guinea, where we have a lot of power issues. Yeah? So these are some things that you have to bear in mind when you step into this space. It's not an easy journey, but it's one that must be taken if we're to grow as a nation. So the next steps, what do we need to do now? We need to understand where we're at. We need to understand who's out there. That's why this type of events are very important. We know who's operating the space, what they bring to the table, and what their capabilities are, first and foremost. Secondly, we need to invest in the right platforms and in the right people. That is key to our success. And finally, we need to take a step back and we need to evaluate where we've come from and where we're heading. Without that particular element in what we do, we cannot really say that we're growing because we cannot measure the growth that we're achieving. So, as you can see in this particular diagram here, this is the ecosystem we've built. You have Agri-Tech, which is the overarching platform. And for most platforms that run on a cloud-based system, you need connectivity, right? So I'm proud to say that just last week we received our license, ISP license, through NICTA, and of course Dataco. So we're able to now take the technologies right down to the rural level, right down to the last mile. We also have web hosting capabilities that we've developed. We have a web hosting platform that currently hosts over 40 companies. That includes both government and private sector, which is similar to GoDaddy. Have any of you used GoDaddy or HostGator? We have our own version of that as well, built by Papua New Guineans for Papua New Guineans. As you can see there, the plan you see is an SME package for Papua New Guineans. That was deliberate, because in order for us to get our products online, we need the infrastructure built. So we start off with the internet, connectivity aspects. Then we're able to host and showcase our products online. But one of the challenges that faces many Papua New Guineans is access to capital, right? So we've taken that one step further. We've built a crowdfunding platform in the form of Invest in Me. That allows us to put up campaigns and raise funds for very specific cases. We've been able to support a number of people. There was a couple in the Philippines who needed support for some medical treatment. We were able to raise money on our crowdfunding platform, which is similar to GoFundMe. It's just a PNG version of it. And of course, other medical support that we've been able to provide to other Papua New Guineans in the space. And of course, we've got the enabling technologies on the side. You'll see there's one they call Nuenco. That is a project management system. That's a proprietary software that we've built, because a lot of our farmers and a lot of our SMEs lack the capacity to record and to account for a lot of their transactions. And that's why a lot of them fail, right? So we've been able to build a platform that allows them to account for things like salaries and wages, project management, and other things on that same platform as well. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this simply for one reason, and that's to remind you that Papua New Guineans have the capability on the ground to develop these kind of things. For people like me who've been in the space for a very long time now, this is nothing. There's so many more things that are there to be developed. As you can see on the bottom there, we've also developed our own artificial intelligence models. The first one, Unblocked AI, is a content creation tool, which is similar to ChatGPT, PNG's version of ChatGPT. So a big part of this presentation was written with our own artificial intelligence tool. And of course, the AI Creator is an image generation tool. We've used the APIs from, have you heard of a company called Stable Diffusion? They are one of the most renowned image generating softwares apart from OpenAI, which is the company that developed ChatGPT. We've used some of the APIs to create our own AI Creator, which is the image generation tools. So in the coming months, you'll be able to access our platform and create images specific to Papua New Guinea. Have any? Yeah. Just one question. Have any of you tried using some of the new image generators that are out there right now? Yes? Yeah. I've tried using them here in Papua New Guinea to create PNG images, but it lacks the PNG context. And that's because there's a certain level of bias because of the fact that it was created by people outside of Papua New Guinea. So we're also creating image models that will also be able to generate Papua New Guinea-related content, right? So because we do a lot of web development, we're always looking for content. So instead of looking for content outside, let's create our own using artificial intelligence, right? So there's a Facebook page called Naka Digital. If you have a chance, go to that page and you can see some of the creations that we've created. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We innovate, we create partnerships, and why do we do all those things? Because Commonwealth is at the heart of what we do. A lot of the things that you see here are self-funded. We're not sponsored by any government. We've created the solutions of our own. Just imagine a situation where the government creates the opportunity for people within the ICT space to rise up and tackle some of these technologies. And by the way, I'm not an IT-trained person. I'm an accountant by profession. So if I can come into this space and develop these technologies, just imagine what you can do. Those of you who are operating within this space who have the accreditation to code and to create software. So I'd like to leave you on that note. I just want to encourage all of you operating in that space that it's a growing environment. The opportunities are there. And don't be discouraged. Keep moving forward. The technology is there. Let's keep moving forward and driving a lot of these technologies because at the end of the day, it will enable Papua New Guinea to grow, become more productive, and reach its goal as an emerging economy.